magazines should be full of surprises, and that they should sometimes explode, and they could go off at any time. They should be an exciting project. They should be a living project. I'm going to talk you through a few recent examples of said. One of which kind of literally explodes is it's actually a customer publishing project from South Africa called Afro, which is it's a cube about this size. It opens up and it's full of little stories. Interiors magazine. It calls itself an everyday life interiors magazine, and it deals with a younger generation of people for whom world interiors and the more upmarket interior magazines, which perhaps have done well for previous generations, these people can't afford. They're never going to be able to buy one of those houses. So this is dealing with their reality, the experience they have of renting and living in apartments and trying to work within that sphere and make them their own. Been a big source of inspiration for magazines. And there's plenty of sports magazines out there that are covering all sorts of individual sports or sometimes multiple sports. The Ride Journal takes a historical and a cultural look at cycling. So this isn't about gear, it's not about buying a new bike or what's the top 10 saddles, where should I go and ride. It's not about that side, that kind of more lifestyle side of cycling. It's about enjoying it, it's about people's experiences of cycling. It's about curious forms of art based around cycling, in this case photography from China. And it's about picking out an archive of 50s drawings of cycling and enjoying that. It's about the general enjoyment, and the people that make this love cycling, and they've developed a business around the idea that there's a cohort of people that share that same interest in cycling. I'll just finish up with print and digital, which again, like design and content, these two are not at war, these are partners. These are two creative forms that have a lot, far more in common. People like to combine them, and they've got so much in common. And I just want to talk through a few interesting creative examples around that. As you can see, back in 2008, or actually the beginning of 2009, a group of people back in London published a newspaper which was based on a lot of what their friends had written on various blogs and sites in the previous year. And they were interested in developing a way of scraping the information automatically off the web and into print and then producing it. And they produced this one-off kind of tabloid newspaper, which led them to realise that there's the possibility of creating a service for the wider community, for designers, yes, and publishers, yes, but also for people. Maybe you run a book club, or you're having a wedding and you want to produce a record of it for your guests. Off the back of this, they created a thing called the Newspaper Club, which allows people without any layout skills to upload content into automated templates, which will then get laid out. You can fiddle a little bit with them if you want to. But you can then press a button and get 5 copies, or 10 copies, or 20 copies, or 5,000 copies, or 500,000 copies. They're using downtime newspaper printers. It's a very clever amalgamation of print and digital. And another project which might be seem to be taking an alternative point of view from what most people would be expecting. Off screen is a magazine made by a website designer. I think he's actually Australian, but for quite some time he was in Berlin. And he was busy making lots of websites, he was freelancing, worked for lots of big agencies. And he realised that there's a whole community of people there. There's lots of people producing lots and lots of sites, lots of things that we use every day, lots of apps and different things. And he wants to make a magazine about that whole world. So this is a magazine about the world of the web maker, the web developer. And whilst it's completely contrary, it perhaps ought to be a blog, it's hugely successful in the web community. They can go a little bit far out with typography, they can be humorous. And of course, on a weekly, I've worked on weeklies, and I know the kind of how repetitive some of the subjects can be. In the States, of course, Obama figures, or the President of the day will regularly figure. Here's a kind of very traditional, beautiful crop, very kind of 60s Esquire. But they can also do something far rougher, where they're looking at his presidential campaign, and how he's selling to raise the money, and they convert their front cover into a really cheap-looking catalogue.